Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Real Short Box. I'm Donald.
I'm Kevin.
And I will always be your Jared.
Today we are talking about the history of one of the greatest comic book companies to ever see the printed page. Malibu Comics.
Nice.
Yes.
A very short and sweet existence, but a sweed existence it was.
Yes, dinosaurs for hire. Hello.
That's right. Malibu always had such a friendly looking, what would you call it, insignia. It was just so like, Malibu.
Yep.
Hey, come sit by the beach and read a comic book.
Right, it was never seemed dark. It
No.
always seemed very inviting. And I think
or corporate.
yeah, and you were talking, we were all 14 or 15 around the time Malibu came
down.
to be in the Ultraverse, sprung up and stuff.
Pivotal age for comic book readers.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kevin, I believe you have a lot of the history. So what Kevin's going to do is going to present some of the history, and we're going to interject with a few bits of tidbits of information and
Anecdotes and whatnot.
yeah,
Yes.
go for it.
All right. First things first. Malibu Comics was founded in 1986 by Dave Albrick, who was the publisher, Tom Mason, who was the creative director, and it was financed by Scott Rosenberg, who served as the president. And Scott Rosenberg was also funded a company called Eternity Comics. And the way Malibu started out, they published...
Oh, I remember Eternity Comics.
yes.
Zen Intergalactic Ninja
Oh my god, yeah. Wow, that's another straight up 90s one.
from
go.
Eternity Comics. I remember that.
That should be a SmackDown one day. Zen Intergalactic Ninja versus Dinosaurs for Hire.
That would be amazing. I'm in.
That'd be cool.
All right.
Now, when Malibu started out in the late 80s, they started out publishing creator-owned black and white titles. And then eventually, Rosenberg decided to merge the Eternity and Malibu comics together. And Eternity...
So Eternity kind of disappeared?
it kind of got merged together with Malibu.
Interesting. I think Eternity also had Robotech at the time.
I was just about to mention that, yes.
Which was black and white.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they did publish the Robotech anime comic.
Black and white was just cost efficient.
Cost
right?
efficient.
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay.
the old school Ninja Turtles when they started out.
Right.
Black and white. Also, as you gentlemen may or may not know, there was a company called Centaur Publications from the Golden Age.
I know centaurs, but I
Centaur.
don't know the publication.
I used to be heavy on Centaur sex online. I would get onto the chat rooms. And stuff.
And that was a rabbit hole you can all go down.
That's a little
but
disturbing.
not
there.
now.
That's a little disturbing there. But this particular Golden Age company, their characters went into the public domain. So Malibu was able to grab them and revive some of these characters. They were known as the Protectors. Some of these characters were known. Some of the named characters were Airman, Amazing Man, Mighty Man,
Man.
Really stupid names.
Jesus
Ark. Yeah, this is bizarre names. But
Car Man.
Car Man, you know.
Ceiling Man.
How, original. What did they just thought? Let's throw this shit against the wall and see what sticks.
See what sticks.
As long as they're all men.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
My God.
And as we get into the early 90s, there was the Men in Black comic book.
Oh,
Right.
yes. I forgot about that.
Which would later, as we know, become the movie.
Spawn, what, 3 movies?
3
4?
movies so far,
3.
yes.
Maybe 4 sometime soon.
Oh, they were the...
Yeah, the Men in Black comic books. Men in Black, they had a comic book that it started in Malibu.
They were Galaxy Defenders.
Now, a pivotal year in the history of this company was 1992. They decided to assist and help publish, for the time being, because they had the infrastructure to do so, Image Comics.
I've heard of them.
Image Comics, there were 7 gentlemen who decided to leave Marvel after creative differences to start their own company.
7 of the most popular artists
At
of
the
the time.
absolutely.
Artists, which really fascinated me.
Yes.
The fact that only these artists were the ones that decided to just jump ship.
The gamble, yeah.
There wasn't any real writers so much in the group as it was just artists.
Yes.
Which will be perfect for when we do an Image,
Absolutely.
the history of Image, because what you just said
and
right
we will
there.
because this year's the 25th anniversary of
Absolutely.
Image, so we definitely will get to them. But Image was formed, and they needed a publisher to get their books on the market. They needed the infrastructure, so Malibu stepped in, gave them assist, and for a brief period of time, for the first time in modern comic book history, the Malibu Image Alliance was number 2 in sales. They pushed DC down to number 3.
Oh yes, I remember that.
For a very brief period of time, this was this was amazing.
If you can believe that.
If you can believe
the
that.
House of Batman and Superman got pushed to 3rd place.
This is
For
like
no names.
This is like, if I could get political, this is like when Ross Perot became that. He got popular as an independent.
Yes.
It was the first time the Democrats and Republicans actually had another voice.
Yes.
an insane voice.
Yes.
But another voice.
I loved Ross Perot. I'm
Me
just
too.
throw that out.
Me too.
Of course you did. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Did you? Did you? Yeah, you did.
Now, afterwards, after about a year and a half or so, Image was strong enough to go off on its own and start publishing their own books. So Malibu, you know, especially at the time, this was like the peak of comic book sales.
90s boom.
90s
That's what they love
boom.
to call it.
Speculation
90s
boom.
Yeah.
So Malibu took the opportunity to leverage this opportunity to create their own continuity of superhero characters called the Ultraverse.
Ah, yes.
Nice.
Ultraverse.
1993.
Home of the Ultra Force.
Hold up the
Huh?
Ultraverse.
That's right.
I happen to have a bit of information on that, but you let me know when you're ready, and I will jump in.
Okay. Before we get to that, let me give you a list of some of the big names and writers and artists that participated during this time.
Real quick, you can tell me because I don't know. Was Malibu big on creator-owned, or was it literally you're all under the umbrella of the company? Like we talked about Eclipse. Like
I
Eclipse
want to
was.
say it's like a creator-owned thing.
You know, it's funny. I know.
Because why would, what's his face? He did the Sludge.
Yes.
Steve
Steve
Gerber.
Gerber.
Steve Gerber.
Why would he be involved with that if it wasn't
Right.
creator-owned? That wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, that
That's
doesn't make any
true.
sense.
I'm sorry. Go on,
So
sir.
yes. Yeah, some of the people who worked there, Steve Englehart, Mike W. Barr, your boy Steve Gerber, Gerard Jones, and George Perez.
Gerard Jones, I wonder if he jumped ship to the Ultraverse after that whole Green Lantern thing we discussed. When he had his idea for Emerald
Twilight.
Twilight or
yeah.
whatever, and they were like, no. I wonder if he jumped ship to Malibu.
It's like, oh yeah, well I'm going to
What
Malibu.
the hell with you guys then?
Suck asses.
Yeah.
Probably did.
Interesting.
Around that time. Okay. So once again, you know, you have these amazing big-time writers and artists who, for about a year, went to Malibu to help kickstart this Ultraverse.
Right, and this was big. Mm-hmm. Big, by the way. Mm-hmm. And there was also, like, in that Ultraverse universe, wasn't there, like, something, like, it was, like, darker? Where
Like
they had,
a Vertigo type thing?
They had, like, Brood and Rune
Yes.
and things like that. I remember this, and I'm going to tell you why. Malibu Comics, you really pissed me off.
Whoa.
I'm going to tell you why. Because when you collected certain books, they gave you stamps in the book.
Okay.
And you would get a page from your comic shop, and you'd put the stamps on this board. And when you got so many stamps, you could get a gold leaf autographed book.
Oh.
I had saved every one of those sons of bitchin' stamps. I saved them for so long.
What were you hoping for?
For the gold leaf
With the gold leaf
autographed
signed
book.
autographed book.
But some of the books hadn't come out. So by the time, and I shit you not, by the time they came out with that last effing book, the company went defunct. And I wrote them a sternly worded letter saying, you sons of bitches, I cannot collect all the stamps if you do not put all the books out. I want my gold leaf autograph book. And you know what I got?
What'd you get?
Jack shit. That's what I got.
They never responded to you?
Jack shit.
They never responded to you.
So Malibu, if anybody is listening that worked for Malibu and has a gold leaf autograph book, you need to send it to Donald McKinney. I'll get you the address. You just send it to me because I'm owed it. I promise you can ask my mom. And my mom, I swear, would not lie about these things.
Well, look up the email addresses for Mr. Ulbrich, Mr. Mason, and Mr. Rosenberg.
no, they
Maybe
need to
can
email
assist.
me
Oh.
because I wrote them a letter and they ignored it.
Malibu, I've seen an angry Donald. You wouldn't like him when he's angry.
And he is part Irish too, so that's even more frightening.
I'm Scotch-Irish. Bring it.
Okay. Now, let me give you a list of some of the heroes that were created in the Ultraverse. One was by the name of Topaz, who was a warrior queen from an extra-dimensional matriarchal realm called Gwendor.
Gwendor.
Topaz.
Yes, Topaz.
What a great character.
Yeah, Topaz is great.
Never would leave her out.
Oh,
She had
no.
like a spear, right?
I believe so,
something
yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Prime, about a young boy who can grow a hugely muscular body around himself.
It was like slime.
Prime, you say?
Yes, Prime.
Well, I'll tell you somebody who did some research on Prime.
Uh-oh.
This guy, Jarrett Galante.
Prime time.
Uh-oh.
Prime time, yeah. What a cool catchphrase. It's prime time. I'm just going to go off on a little junket here about Prime. Prime was created by Bob Jacob, Gerard Jones, Len Straczewski, and Norm Brayfogle. That's a lot of people
Wow.
creating one character. And not only that,
A lot of solid comic book writers.
and the character design itself was given credit to Brett Blevins. His first appearance was in Prime number 1 in 1993. He was a member of Ultra Force, which was like their Avengers, pretty much. Prime, and this is what when you do the research. I read Prime, I think like issue 1, and I watched him on the cartoon a little bit. Now, the cool thing about Ultra Force, Prime always though was the guy that stuck out to me because I like Superman characters, and more importantly, I love Captain Marvel. I'm not gonna say Shazam because I hate when people have. I hate that I have to say Captain Marvel, Shazam. That people I have to give both names, but whatever.
Right.
But he was definitely an analog of Captain Marvel. He was 13-year-old. What was his name? Kevin Green.
Kevin Green. What was his name?
Kevin Green. What was Kevin Green's name? Kevin Green. What was Prime's name?
Apparently my name.
It was Kevin Green. So Kevin Green, our Kevin Green is a beautiful, just strong black man. But apparently he's been lying to us, and he's actually a 13-year-old white kid.
Son of a
who can turn into a Superman. Now, Kevin Green transformed into a superpowered adult. But he's still like Captain Marvel, like Billy Batson. He still has the intellect of a 13-year-old.
I don't quite understand his costume. Is the P for Prime like part of the suit, or is it just painted over his muscles?
Well, I'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
He is... The stories were kind of like a 13-year-old dealing with adult situations as looking like an adult superhero, very much like Captain Marvel, and they made no bones about saying that it was like that. But the book was ahead of its time. It was used to establish what it meant to be a hero. It even dealt with sexuality and even pedophilia, which I'll get to.
Oh boy,
Jesus.
And the art in it was actually was groundbreaking for the time. It had interconnected panels, broken borders. They were kind of breaking the rules as far as like, we don't have to go panel to panel. We're going to make this look exciting and cool.
The art was always solid on these.
Right.
And Malibu was known for its digital coloring process. It was very innovative at the time.
I believe, if I'm correct, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes.
Marvel, that's another reason why they eventually purchased Malibu, was for the coloring process that they had developed.
A reason, but not the primary reason. But
Right. Well, yeah.
Now, I just want to talk a little bit about Prime's powers because this is what did make him different from Captain Marvel. He wasn't just like said Prime time and then became Prime.
Right.
He projected an organic liquid flesh. This is where he gets. I love this part. This is where it gets really interesting. He shapes himself into a tall man, exceptionally large, with defined musculature. Now, if you just Google Prime, He's what you would think if you were a little kid and you're like, I'm a superhero. This is what you would look like.
Right.
And that was the point.
Okay.
Because his powers were actually kind of a projection of his mind. Kind of based on his confidence like Gladiator in the Marvel Universe. Whatever his only weakness was if he kind of doubted himself or anything like that. But his projection was this image. And it would actually change depending on what mission he was on, what he was fighting. But the main Prime looked like, it had this huge... Every Prime version had gigantic muscles, veins bulging. Like exactly what a 6-year-old... If a 6-year-old could draw a comic book character, Superman, that's what they would draw.
Like him.
Right. And there was this kind of teenage aspect to it. Not only that he was 13 years old, but when he reverted to his 13-year-old self, which was either by... He was just kind of done being Prime, or he exerted all his power, he would... he would become this blob of, and I love this, protein goo.
Wow.
Which sounds really dirty.
Sounds like a shake that you would get for weightlifting.
So and he would revert either by choice or his prime power was used up. And then, this is the cool thing too, once he was in the protein goo cocoon, he had to get out or he would suffocate. He was like, stuck. He's like, I'm not Prime anymore, that was cool. And then all of a sudden he's in this protoplasmic goo that he's got to escape from.
Jesus, that's got to be traumatizing for a child.
Right. So let's get to his history. I'm just going to give a brief history of his...
Okay.
He was... his dad was a military man, and he was working for... His name was Russell Green. He was working for a top secret military research department.
Is that your dad's name?
No.
Yeah, just tell me... If I'm just telling your life story, Kevin, just out with it. And please
just let us know.
Just become Prime.
You're Prime.
Live... on the podcast.
I don't want to destroy this beautiful house.
All right, fine. Yeah, we don't want your protein goo all over the place. So Russell Green, who was this military man, he was working for a top secret military research department, and him and his wife Ruth were having a hard time conceiving a child.
Probably because her name is Ruth, and when you're moaning Ruth, it's not very sexy.
Ruth. You know what? My grandmother was named Ruthie,
Yeah.
so I could never
Yeah,
have sex
you
with a Ruth.
instantly
Yep.
lose a boner
Yeah.
when you say Ruth.
Or Ruthie, for that matter.
Oh, that
Yeah.
sounds like Ruth.
Baby Ruth, baby
Yeah.
Ruth.
Hey, Ruthie, can you get... I'm sorry,
I just
anyway.
puked all over my
Sorry.
penis. Yeah.
Puked on my penis. Protein goo everywhere. So Dr. Samuels, the leading scientist within this government agency, had a super soldier type program that he was working on, and he promised the Greens a child. So he began to put Ruth through several unspecified treatments. And guess what? She got pregnant. And 9 short months later, she gave birth to a perfect boy who they named Kevin, who I'm looking at right now.
Kevin Green.
Now, when he was born, he was a perfect child. He was fine. He was everything a normal child until he reached his 13th birthday.
Puberty.
Yep.
Almost like a mutant.
He started growing hair in funny places and liking girls.
So yeah. So young Kevin began to experience intense stomach aches one day.
Uh-oh.
And
Someday you will too.
I will.
so one night he's asleep and the pain is just too much. And he feels like he's going to burst. And all of a sudden there's a sudden explosion and he's transformed into this superhero, Prime. He doesn't obviously name himself Prime yet, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He's scared. He doesn't know what's going on. He reverts back to Kevin and he's got this goo everywhere and he's got to hide it. It's such a perfect...
It's very subliminal, isn't it?
It's super subliminal, and it's such a teenage story. Like, you know, all of a sudden, in fact, that was the one thing that I always remembered about Prime was, like, having to get rid of the goo, and he wanted to hide this stuff, you know? Like,
That's amazing.
it's so masturbatory, it's so teenager, but it's great.
Use a sock, Prime. Use a sock.
So P can stand for puberty as well as prime. Prime puberty.
The prime
That's
of
not
your
bad.
puberty. Yeah, good job.
So, like I said, his powers and everything in his look is based on his subconscious. In fact, he actually looked a lot like his father. So
Makes sense.
which would be his idea of an adult,
Yeah,
right?
makes sense. Your father is like the person you
That's
look up to.
that's the Oedipus syndrome, isn't
Which
it?
is
No,
also
no. Oedipus would be the opposite. Your mother.
you'd kill the father and have sex with the mother.
Well, yeah. So he might eventually kill his father and have sex.
And have
with
sex
his
with
mom.
because he looks like a dad. Yeah,
Right.
It happens.
See.
What a dilf. So another comparison to Captain Marvel is when Captain Marvel when Billy Batson became Captain Marvel, he also looked like his dad. So they definitely were like really working with that scenario. So the cool thing is that he uses his power like they were actually, it was like a total kids teenage story, but it was got the Different Strokes vibe where they were dealing with some really adult situations. Like Kevin one day sees his Coach Meyer, his like PE coach at school, touching girls inappropriately.
Oh boy.
And
Jesus.
touching the girl that he's in love with, like his infatuation, in an inappropriate way.
My
Molesting
God.
him,
Yeah.
molesting him.
This is like the Mr. Belvedere episode.
Oh, I remember that
where the
episode.
kid from the Scouts
Yes.
gets touched by a Scout
Wesley
leader.
touched Wesley.
Yeah, inappropriately.
And then there was Dudley on Different Strokes got molested by the weird like bike shop owner guy.
Everybody got molested. Stop this.
But so the cool thing is like he does when he first gets his powers over the next 48 hours, he starts doing what I've always said, and they've kind of done stories a little bit like this, what you would always think a superhero should do. Go help the world. He goes to Somalia and starts trying to fight like Somali pirates or something like that, and like trying to solve world problems. So I don't know. Prime to me was just such a cool character, and in researching him, I was just like, man, I always thought this was just kind of 90s fluff
Right.
because
But
There
it
was
had
some depth.
But it had
But there
real
was-
issues. As a matter of fact, Somalia, that's when Black Hawk Down went down during that time.
Right.
So that's probably why they
No, it was
incorporated the
current,
story. It was
but
current.
also like
it was current.
But think about it, you're a 13-year-old kid, all of a sudden you're Superman, and you have a good heart. You're like, I'm gonna go help people around the world. Like he was doing things that, or helping at the school. This guy is being completely inappropriate. Like I gotta go handle that. Like it's
Right.
like real situations. It wasn't just instantly like I'm gonna go fight. Neon Man, who's
Right.
like
Makes
shooting.
sense.
Yeah,
Right.
It's just a cool. I don't know. And then the hiding of the powers with the. I'll never get over it. The protein goo. I just loved it. So Prime's a cool character. So that's all I got to say about Prime. Kevin, go on.
Okay.
What am I doing? I'm rambling.
Well, look, you're very excited about Prime, but we have some other people we got to quickly get to. We had Mantra, who was an immortal warrior, eternally reincarnated, who finds himself in the body of a woman.
That's amazing to me.
That's fucking awesome.
That's amazing. I don't know of any comic character where a is put inside a body of a woman and has to deal with real world issues like that.
And what a relevant character would be for today.
Absolutely. That would be like you like to bring about strong female characters to your children, to your daughters.
Right.
Bringing something like that to show a man's aspect of how he's living in a woman's body
right.
might also be very fascinating. And I don't know how to check it out.
And a cool way to explain transgender, all kinds of stuff.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Very good. That's very true. The Strangers, a group of heroes who were in a cable car in San Francisco when it was hit with a bolt from the blue.
That was so stupid.
And they gained their powers.
A bolt from the blue.
Cable car.
Here's my pitch idea. They're hit. Well, how did they get their powers? I was saying that. They're hit by a bolt from the blue, asshole.
We're never going to see the Strangers again.
I thought it was just a bunch of left-hand masturbators, but what am I saying?
That would have been better.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, I got it. The Blue Ball Men.
The Blue Ball Men hit by a ball from the Go on.
Okay, we have Nightman, about a musician who was injured by that same cable car and gained the ability to hear evil thoughts.
Drawn by Kyle Hotz, if I believe. Kyle Hotz?
Yeah.
Hotz? I'm sorry, Kyle, if I'm butchering your name. He still works actively in the industry. I met him at, I believe it was the Akron-Canton or Canton-Akron Comic Con. And it was in Tadmore Hall or at a Sheraton in Canton, Ohio. I'm kid you not. I remember this very well because he was very nice. He autographed a couple books for me. He's just a very nice guy, very nice gentleman. So thank you, sir, for that, because these are one of my earliest autographs I'd ever gotten by a comic book artist.
That's awesome. You never forget those.
Right, and you made that very nice for me. So I very much appreciate you and your work.
Thank you. I call him KH. That's just it. We're buddies.
Yeah.
So wait, his powers, Nightman's powers, where he could hear evil thoughts?
Yes.
From like other people?
Yes.
Or he was schizophrenic?
Great. No, that'd be great.
That's cool. Yeah. That's kind of almost like Unbreakable, right? Like he kind of touches people.
Yeah.
And let's see. We have Freaks, about a group of young teenagers injected by wetware when they were babies and were now on the run.
They're just throwing everything out. I love this.
And then we had another team book called The Exiles, about a group of people with the Theta virus, which grants powers, but also kills them without treatment.
Sounds familiar. That Exiles title.
And this was pre the Marvel
pre-Marvel, which ran for a long time. It was written by a guy that did a reality series on MTV, if I recall.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Judd Winnick.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he was on The Real World San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was the Marvel Exiles.
Right.
We were talking about the Malibu Exiles.
Indeed. And during the Ultraverse, the various creators each carved out a piece of their universe, and there was Barry Windsor-Smith, who was well known for his incredibly detailed illustrations of Weapon X.
And Conan the Barbarian. Oh my God. Barry Windsor-Smith, you're an amazing artist.
Yeah, he's a great artist.
If you want to come over and have beers sometime, you're more than welcome.
He created a character called Rune, an immortal bat-like vampire. And Steve Gerber created...
My man. You guys ever read Fool Killer? No, never mind. Go on.
Created a character called Sludge.
Sludge. That was like their muck monster, right?
Yeah.
And later on, they decided to form a super team that was, similar to the Avengers or the Justice League, called the Ultra Force.
Whoa. Record scratch. Hold up. Okay, before we even involve Ultra Force, we have to talk about a particular character I'm very fond of in Malibu Comics.
Who's that?
That is Hardcase. And have you heard of Hardcase?
I remember his ponytail mullet.
His golden ponytail mullet. Okay? He was written by James Hudnall. I don't know if anybody you know James Hudnall. He's actually a pretty good writer. Yeah. He's done a lot for Marvel. He worked for Malibu Comics under the Ultraverse imprint. Hardcase lasted for 26 issues. And let me tell you, they were actually very fun.
Yeah.
I started reading these when I was a teenager, and I actually very much enjoyed them. In fact, Malibu Comics, because of Hardcase, that was my introduction into Malibu Comics.
Through Hardcase?
Through Hardcase. And he was actually one of the first publicly known Ultras, which is their blanket term for superhumans in the Ultra universe.
Okay.
Or the Ultraverse. He was a struggling actor. His name was Tom Hawks. And he...
I love that they all have like realistic backgrounds, like a musician, like just a 13-year-old kid.
Yeah, no, this
a
really
struggling
hits,
actor.
Yeah,
I love
a
that.
struggling actor.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all out here in basically almost in Hollywood, California, guys.
City of Angels.
Right. And some of us are struggling actors. And
some of us are just struggling.
You're right. Some of us are just struggling. So if you can send a sandwich to
sandwich and
$1512 North... Yeah, no, never mind. Anyway, Tom Hawks, who is Hardcase, his luck changed when he got hit by a jumpstart effect, which was a burst of energy from the entity.
From the blue?
No, not the blue. The entity.
The entity.
Which was an ancient alien spaceship. And it was that's the spaceship that was responsible, by the way, for all of the world's super beings.
Oh, okay.
So that blue bullshit came from the entity, as far as I could tell. He gained superhuman strength and durability. So he was basically like the Luke Cage of the Ultraverse universe.
He had a pretty badass like black costume, right?
Kind of a dark blue.
Yeah, dark blue.
Yeah.
With the ponytail.
Right. He became an Ultraverse or an Ultra hero, and created this team. And the team was called the Squad. Each of them took names called Starburst, DJ Blast, Forza, and of course Hardcase.
Starburst was the tastiest.
This was pre-Ultra Force, by the way. For 6 months, the Squad achieved amazing success. They were awesome. But then what happened
Squad
is...
goals.
Squad goals. Their good fortune didn't last. They were attacked by a creature called, and I shit you not, it is the letter N, the letter M, dash E. NME.
Wow, that's 90s.
Kind of lame.
Yeah.
They were overcome.
Or kind of lame. 90s,
Yeah.
i.e. kind of lame.
They were overcome, and in a last-ditch effort, DJ Blast.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just totally purposely ignored that one, but yeah.
He focused all his power on enemy, causing a massive explosion. Okay? The only people to survive was Hardcase and Starburst. And Starburst was comatose. So basically, everybody else died. Hardcase was the only one that really actually lived. So he retired. And he became an action movie star after he retired. Because what do you do after you retire? Become an action movie star. And suddenly, some villain named Headknocker. Yes.
Headknocker? Really?
And it really looks like an alien from Aliens. It's such a ripoff.
I vaguely remember this. Yes.
The name doesn't fit. So his name was Headknocker. He was an ultra-human with incredible strength. He was defeating all the police force. And Hardcase was like, I can't let this happen. So he stepped in and defeated Headknocker. And when he did, he said, oh my god, guys. I forgot how cool this was. I need to start something else. Thus, the Ultra Force was born. Hardcase and several heroes formed the Ultra Force soon after they stopped a subterranean warlord named Attilan. Or Attilan, whatever you prefer.
And the Inhumans lived with him.
Right. They were successful and they stayed together to police other Ultras. They decided to do that. So here's where we segue from Hardcase into the Ultra Force. And I'm sorry I'm hijacking this, but you said Ultra Force.
I did.
So Hardcase and several other heroes did this. Hardcase faced his greatest challenge when enemy returned. He would have died if it wasn't for Prime stepping in. So Prime stepped in and he said, oh my god.
I got protein goo all over you.
Right. Oh, you got this goo all over. I'm a blonde guy with a ponytail. What are you doing?
Aiming at her tits, Eddie.
So... Jesus.
Oh my god, is this Hellerbach beer is really that good?
Ass of a 10-year-old.
Yeah, that's like a 10-year-old boy. Thank you, Bill Paxton.
So, basically, they formed the Ultra Force. The Ultra Force, their purpose was to protect the public and keep other Ultras from getting out of line. Their membership consisted of various Ultras inside the Ultraverse, which was created by Malibu Comics. Included in these characters were Prime, as you had mentioned, Jared, Topaz, as you had mentioned, Kevin. Prototype had Ultra Tech armor.
Yeah, he was like their Iron Man.
He was a young Iron Man,
Yeah.
like a teenage Iron Man, basically. And Ghoul, the last surviving member of the Exiles. And by surviving, I mean he wasn't really alive. He was a ghoul. He was
Like a
kinda
zombie
dead.
guy. Yeah.
And then Hardcase, one of the first public Ultras, of course. And then the person that brought them all together was Contrary. Yes. She organized the team. She also had a floating wheelchair a la Professor Xavier.
Yeah.
So obviously they were taking some elements
Some liberties.
of some more successful teams.
The X-Men were kind of popular around the 90s.
Very much so. So what happened was is this popularity kept going and going and going. And eventually this shit hit the fan, so to speak. The bubble burst.
Yes, it did. Around 1994.
Thank you. In 1994, the comic book market bubble had burst.
Mm-hmm.
Prospectors were buying hundreds of issues.
Everything.
Everything. And holding on to it, thinking they're going to get more money.
And the biggest problem with that was at the time, all the companies were printing like, multiple prints and,
yes.
all these different holographic versions.
Holographics,
Right.
and the big thing, remember, polybagging.
Polybagging.
Yes.
That made you buy 2 of everything.
And here's the funniest part is a lot of times
Making it worth nothing, by the way.
the direct edition, the non-polybagged direct editions
Uh-huh.
were often worth more.
Really?
They still are now
Right.
than the bagged or special cover editions because they sold less of them.
That's true. Oh,
Which
yeah.
is crazy. So in Malibu, eventually what happened was, and Kevin, you can back me up on this.
Yes.
Malibu ran out of money.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, did this happen?
And it happened very quickly, too.
Right. So what
Did they
happened
get
was,
too big for their britches kind of thing?
not really. It's just that the bubble burst.
The rug
and
got
people
pulled out from a lot of
stopped
companies.
buying Malibu. They stopped buying comics, period.
So think about it. If you have like a budget issue, you just can't spend as much money. You got to start cutting books.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Malibu unfortunately was a victim for a lot of people on their pull list. It's like, you know what? I really love Spider-Man and Superman and Batman and
that new book's kind of cool, but I
Yeah.
want to go to my OGs.
yeah. Go to your OG.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in Malibu, what happened was they eventually ran out of money, and then Marvel Comics stepped in.
Yes.
That's when Marvel Comics purchased them. And this is not where Ultra Force dies, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
This is where Ultra Force continues. The entire Ultraverse line was canceled and restarted. Only a few of the popular items were rebooted, such as Prime, Ultra Force. Sadly, Hardcase was not one of them.
Really? Okay.
He went by the wayside, to be honest. He pretty much disappeared and never came back. So Marvel, if you're listening, please bring Hardcase back. He's a great character. You can do something with him. If you've done something with Hyperion and all that nonsense, you could do something with Hardcase. Figure it out,
Have
Marvel.
him do. Oh my God! Have him do an action movie with Simon Williams, Wonder Man, another superhero actor.
There we go. Perfect. Thank
Buddy,
you,
like a
Jared.
Tango and Cash. Okay, once again, Marvel, you owe me money.
Right.
Tango and Cash, Hardcase and Simon Williams, Hardcase and Wonder Man.
So basically that happened.
Call it Hard Man.
In what we call... what happened... what happened was Black September. And I'll get into that a little more, but Kevin, I'm going to throw this over to you to reboot, and restart on that Malibu Comics world.
Yes. Getting back to the Ultra Force, it was discovered that there was another dimension called the God Wheel, which made up all these different science worlds on one side and fantasy worlds on the other.
And this was right before Marvel.
It's before Marvel took over.
Mm-hmm.
And the God Wheel came from from this interesting villain called Lord Pumpkin.
Which is a great character.
Yeah.
It's a man's kind of a twig-like body with a pumpkin for a head.
Which there wasn't there. Remember, the real Ghostbusters cartoon?
Yes.
There was a villain who looked a lot like
Lord Pumpkin.
Lord Pumpkin.
Huh.
Yeah.
The real
Ghostbusters. Proceed.
Yes. So as Donald mentioned, this was before the purchase by Marvel. And this is where things were going. And unfortunately, as we were getting back to this earlier, is that all this happened so quickly within about a 1 year period where they're on the highest of highs. Mm-hmm. And then that speculation boom busted all of a sudden. And then the revenues aren't there. And they had to sell themselves off to Marvel. And one of the reasons Marvel bought them, primary reasons, was because DC was also interested. So Marvel just had to be, pretty smart. We got to pull the plug. We got to buy them before DC does,
Right?
Because they were afraid they were going to incorporate some of those Ultra Force characters into the DC universe.
I wonder if it would have been different if DC would have taken control, because the deal that they made was so poorly constructed. And I'm sure
Horribly constructed,
Yeah.
obviously.
That it affects us today.
Yeah, we don't. I haven't seen any of these characters.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a VH1 special when they're like, Faster Pussycat had a quick rise to the top and an even faster fall to the bottom. Because, do your Faster Pussycat research.
And
Right.
and one of the unfortunate things was once Malibu was bought out and absorbed into the Marvel universe, the Ultra Force, it was only around for maybe 2 years at most. and then Marvel just simply canceled the entire Ultraverse, and they pretty much haven't been used since.
But they have the rights, but it's all convoluted.
It's all convoluted for different reasons, different rumors, different explanations. There's non-disclosure agreements about why they can't talk about it.
But they did. Let me be clear on this. They did bring back Prime, and they did bring back Ultraforce. And when they brought back Ultraforce, one of the characters they thought would be one of the best characters from Marvel to bring into the Ultraforce, into the Ultraverse, to reboot the line. Let me be very clear on this. Was the Black Knight.
That's right.
The Black Knight. One of Marvel's strongest characters. They used that to bring in new readers.
They also did that other new version of the Exiles. They had Juggernaut, Reaper from the really weird team. Reaper from the Mutant Liberation Front, Sienna Blaze from the Upstarts.
The Mutant Liberation Front, they were fun back in the days.
They were totally fun, but it was a completely 90s team integrate. I just remember as a kid going like, "What?" That's when I started realizing that they had integrated into that same company. I was like, "How did this even happen?"
No doubt.
What happened after that?
Well, basically you come into the present time. Basically, there's been rumors about it coming back, but like I said, there's these different legal issues.
It's so muddled in legalities.
It's so stupid though when you think like they have the company and the characters, but they can't use them
because they don't want to pay.
They want to
the
pay
creators.
Yes, apparently
a percentage.
That's ridiculous.
And they don't want to pay the producers, like the people that were involved in producing the product and stuff.
The creators,
I wonder now though with the Disney money, if that would change.
Isn't even a big deal anymore at this point.
I hope it doesn't. Disney, if you're listening, please change it because I would love to see
you have these great characters that we're just talking
another
about.
Ultraforce comic.
Even at TV shows.
Did happen.
Prime, they've been trying to push a bunch, but the
Ultraforce
cartoon,
animated cartoon. It lasted, and you can YouTube this or Google it. It is on YouTube. I've seen it. It ran for 13 episodes. It was based on the first version of Ultraforce, and was produced by DIC Entertainment.
Deke.
Which I like to call Dick Entertainment.
Well, they always said the ending. Remember after the show, it'd be like.
Deke. Yep.
Remember they took over G.I. Joe after Sunbow Hasbro no longer produced it. You remember?
Oh, Dick. I mean,
Deke.
Yep. So we have a very, very sad Black September that happened when Marvel tried to reboot. The only comics to last the longest was Prime and Ultraforce. They lasted 15 issues each.
That was it?
That was it.
Really? Wow,
They
that's
threw the Juggernaut in there. They threw...
I was saying they did that with that new Exiles team.
The Black Knight. Yeah, they did this whole Exiles thing. And the fact that they have all these characters that they've done nothing with. They did the same thing with CrossGen.
Right. CrossGen.
They tried to bring Cross... And that could be another one, guys. I think we got another talk here. Because CrossGen was all about, like, Buccaneers and sorcery and things like that. It was a very cool world.
But these are straight up superheroes. It's so easy to bring and incorporate them.
Yes, into Marvel, absolutely.
Yeah.
But they kind of shit the bed on this, and I'm sorry it happened. And Malibu Comics, if anybody that worked for Malibu Comics would want to come in and talk about Malibu Comics on
Tom
our
Mason,
podcast,
Dave Albrick, Scott Rosenberg.
We would love to have you guys. We're very fascinated. We are a group of people that are very fascinated in the history of the characters of companies. We want to learn more. We want to get your perspective. So if you're interested, please come forth.
Yeah,
and you deserve to have your voices heard. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean,
and your characters seen again.
I mean,
yes.
as much as we
bring
love
life back into them,
as much as we love Marvel and DC, these other companies were very critical to pushing forward the creativity of comic books today.
We were raised. We were born and bred. You are the teat that we suckled upon.
Yeah, I'm sucking on it right now.
That's Kevin's.
Oh, sorry, Kevin. Sorry. I was in awe of the whole Prime thing, and I'm kind of starstruck now.
But I think that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and very important, I just want to give a shout out to StashMyComics.com and the Observation Deck and Wikipedia just for helping me put together this research for today, because it's hard to find information on Malibu Comics.
Yeah, same with me. Comics Vine, they're always great.
I'd like to thank myself.
Yeah. I'd like to thank us for
your memories
for talking about them. And Malibu, thank you. You can thank us too. We're talking about you.
Right. But we would more likely like to thank you for just being a company and for existing.
And thank you, the listeners who are listening to this. And that's going to do it for us for today, right?
I believe so, yeah. So please subscribe on our YouTube page, iTunes.
Rate, review us, tell your friends.
Show us some love.
So I'm Jarrett.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Donald.
And we'll see you at the comic shop.